Good morning. We are at another Monday morning, and we have June the 9th as I look over at the calendar. And I just don't know where the time and the days go by. And we are rapidly approaching the July 12th qualifying event for the 26th USA Memory Championship. And so the days just keep flipping by, and I'm not sure what else to say other than, my goodness, that make good use of every day of your life. And one of the concerns that people have that I get to talk with on a regular basis is their fear of dementia. And that has to do, when you say fear of dementia, and I'm talking with conversation with my cardiologist this morning, and we're talking about the importance of the connection between your cardiology, your heart, the things that bring oxygen and blood through your body system, and how it impacts your brain, and the risk or the possibilities of dementia. And so there's more and more science that's coming out that's talking about that connection. And so talking to, I love my cardiologist. I think he's absolutely fantastic. He's on the cutting edge of things, and linking and talking to him, we always enjoy the conversations we have. I just always hope that when I talk with him in the morning, I'm not backing up his schedule. So I try to be more sensitive because I can talk to him for hours. So we agreed to meet after hours. But in any case, the impact of things to our blood, for example, triglycerides, all right? So what are you doing with your triglyceride levels, and how that impacts your blood flow, and how that blood flow, not just to your heart, but to your brain. We talk about sugars. My goodness, there's a blood-brain barrier for sugars, right? The different kinds of refined sugars. Not a good thing for your brain, and certainly not good for your body's cardio system. And we're reading more and more about the impact of refined sugars. And so, and it amazes me that we've got so many foods that have got so much added sugar, and at least we're beginning to see a cultural change in our food manufacturers taking more and more advertisements, at least talking about low sugar or lower sugar. And I always think of apple pies, and you say apple pies, and say, my goodness. I was amazed to read once picking apples at an orchard when I was up in New York State. They said an apple will never freeze because it's got so much sugar in it. And I thought about it. I said, wait a minute, we take these apples home and we make apple pie, and then we make apple pie and add sugar to it. And I said, wait a minute, if the apple has got so much sugar in it that it can't freeze, why are we adding sugar to it? So I started having my wife make apple pies, did not add extra sugar, and they tasted fantastic. I didn't need any more refined sugar. I had plenty of apple sugar in its natural ingredient, and so I go to Walmart's and get apple pies with no sugar added, and they taste delicious. You don't need more sugar. We look at the sugar on our soft drinks and Pepsis and Cola and Cokes. Dr. Pepper, I mean, my goodness, you look at these sort of drinks, why are we putting so much sugar into a soft drink? And we might as well just drink a bottle of sugar. And so you now read the importance of this and its impact on your brain as well as your heart, and they're talking about things you can control, and it's your diabetes and your A1C levels, and what can you do to maintain and have an influence over taking action of things you can control that impact your heart and your overall body systems, but more importantly, your cognitive function. So overdoing sugar is not going to help it. It goes on to talk about your hearing. And this is an interesting one. They talk about having your hearing checked and making sure your hearing's done, but their thinking is when you're having hearing problems, do you find that you are not engaged in as many conversations, and therefore when you feel that you can't hear what people are saying, do you disengage and become isolated or lonely? And therefore you lose the importance of social connection. And we certainly we have certainly talked about social interaction and the importance of social connection to people that don't feel lonely or isolated, and therefore the importance of being able to hear people in conversations. It also, in this article, it says the things you can influence. There are like 14 things you can influence. Well, eyesight, the importance of seeing things and being able to process them in your brain. Visualization is one of the techniques, the loci method, the Roman room as we call it, where you're visualizing objects around the room, and then as you visualize the object, you make this connection to something you're trying to remember, and then when you look at the object, boom, you can remember what the item was that you're trying to recall and retain. Different mental systems that we can practice and learn and develop that help us to improve our memory regardless of our age. They're all in control. I mean, I'm not going to beat on this one, but giving up smoking, I'm surprised we still haven't tell people to give up smoking. That one, my dad passed away from lung cancer at age 62, and I always thought that we got ripped off when he died so young, but he was a big smoker, and therefore I never smoked a day in my life, and I'm glad I never did. Half of the dementia risk that we have today, that at least science is bringing forward to us today, are things that we can influence. And so if we approach it as we do heart disease, and again, even with heart disease, my cardiologist has got, everybody wants an easy pill. Can we teach them, can people learn the things that they can do, that they can take control over, that they have an impact on? And I say that the same with people with memories. It's interesting when we start teaching people about memory, the importance of letting know that it's a skill that there are things you can learn that you can practice and do to help you to improve your memory. And that's the USA Memory Championship, demonstrating to the country, the people that look at our YouTubes or Facebooks, there are skills you can learn to improve your memory at any age, given the desire, first the belief, the desire, the practice, and then the application. And it always drives me crazy when people say, God, you taught me something, it makes a difference. Well, that's going to help your heart as well as it's going to help your head. As you look at the different things that have the influence on your cognitive function and improving your memory and your brain health, has the same impacts in many cases as if you were helping your heart health as well. And there are enormous, so this closes out, there are enormous successes in the early part of one preventing heart attacks and strokes. So we've done a lot to learn about heart attacks and strokes, if that's something you've worked on and you fear. The same can apply to dementia. We might not eradicate it, so the doctor says, but delaying the disease to the latest possible phase would offer people years of quality lives and a better experience overall. So continue to gain insight into dementia's stealth phase and learning how to take action before it hijacks our minds can be something that you could push years away. So what is it talking about? What it's saying is that in the early stages of dementia, it's very malleable. There are things that you can be much more aggressive and assertive in doing to exercise and develop. So physical exercise, mental exercise, changing your heart habits, your blood pressure, your cholesterol levels. How good is the blood that's going through your body and impacting, obviously, 20% of the oxygen we take in is being consumed by our brain, though it's a small piece of body mass, it takes up a lot of oxygen. So doing anything that's going to improve your heart health is going to have an impact on your mental health as well. So these are my Monday morning tips, my Sunday reading, and that brings you to Monday morning Live with Tony's. And Karen Pinson will be here this week, and she and I will be discussing this year's memory championships and what we have to be doing and getting ready for that. And the days are coming on us as fast as we look at the calendar tick. So you have a good week, and then we're off and going, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday.